I still remember the moment everything changed. It was a cold Monday morning. I was sitting in front of my computer, staring at a job application that I really wanted to send. It was for my dream job, working with an international company. But there was one problem. It said, "Fluent English required." I stared at that line for a long time. And I felt something inside me drop. Because I wasn't fluent, not even close. I was just a beginner. I could say hello and how are you, but I couldn't write a full sentence without checking the dictionary. I wanted to cry. I almost closed the page. But instead, I made a decision. I said out loud to myself, "Give me 90 days. I'll learn English. I'll speak it. I'll write it. I will become fluent." Was it too fast? Maybe. Was it impossible? A lot of people would say yes, but I didn't care because I had something powerful. I had a reason. That reason became my energy, and what I did over the next 90 days completely changed my life. Let me tell you everything. Every single thing I did, step by step. No secrets, no tricks. Just real effort, simple tools, and daily habits. I want you to hear it, because if I could do it, so can you. On day one, I did not study grammar. I did not open a textbook. I started with one simple task. I made a 90-day promise. I took a small piece of paper and wrote, "In 90 days, I will speak English with confidence." Then, I wrote why, my reason, my motivation. Because I want to get this job. Because I want to travel. Because I'm tired of feeling small. I put the paper on my wall, right above my bed. I looked at it every morning and every night. That wasn't just a note. That was my fuel. After making the promise, I needed a plan. A real one. Not something big or fancy, just something that I could actually do every day. So, I opened my notebook and wrote down these 5 daily actions. Listen for 30 minutes. Speak for 30 minutes. Read for 15 minutes. Write 5 sentences. Review new words for 10 minutes. That's it. No more, no less. I called it my daily 90, and I followed it like my life depended on it. In the first week, my focus was on listening. I didn't try to understand every word. Instead, I just wanted my ears to get used to English. I chose simple YouTube videos, children's cartoons, beginner podcasts, slow English stories. My favorite was a podcast where a man told stories about his daily life. He spoke slowly, clearly. He said things like, "Today I woke up at 7 a.m. I made some coffee. Then I read a book." Simple words, but it felt like music to me. I listened in the morning while brushing my teeth. I listened while cooking. I even listened while walking to the store. My headphones became my teacher. I didn't need a classroom. I just needed focus. After listening, the next step was speaking. But I had no one to talk to. So I talked to myself. Yes, I really did. I stood in front of my mirror and said things like, "Good morning. I feel good today. I will learn English. I can do this. What will I eat today?" At first, it felt silly, but after 3 days, I started enjoying it. My mouth was moving more easily. I wasn't thinking too much. The words came faster. This was when I discovered the power of thinking out loud. I also tried shadowing. That's when you listen to a sentence, then repeat it right after, copying the speaker's speed, tone, and emotion. I used a short video clip. I played one line, paused, and repeated it. "I'm going to the store. I'm going to the store." Again and again. It was hard, but it worked. By the end of the week, I could say full sentences without freezing. I also started reading, but I didn't read books. I read small things. Short articles, English quotes, even product labels at the supermarket. I used my phone to save new words. For example, I saw a sign that said, "Keep refrigerated." I looked it up, I learned what it meant, then I said it out loud. Keep refrigerated. And I smiled, because now I knew one more thing than yesterday. In the evenings, I did something simple but powerful. I wrote 5 sentences. Just 5. Not 10, not 20, just 5. Today, I learned a new word. I listened to a podcast. I feel proud. It wasn't about grammar. It was about confidence. Every sentence I wrote was proof. I was learning. Then I took 5 new words and reviewed them. I used a flashcard app. One side said the word. The other side had a picture or a sentence. I didn't try to memorize. I just looked, read, and spoke. Slowly, the words became part of me. By the end of week 1, something had changed. I was no longer afraid of English. I didn't understand everything yet. I couldn't speak perfectly, but I felt something new. Momentum. That feeling of progress, of moving forward, of building something, word by word. And that feeling was addictive. So, I kept going. By the second week, I started to feel something else. Tired. I was doing my daily 90 plan every single day. It was helping me, but I also felt a little bit burnt out. Some days I woke up and didn't feel excited. Some evenings, I just wanted to watch videos in my native language again. So, I made a new rule for myself. If you feel tired, do something easier, but never stop. On the hard days, I didn't try to speak out loud for 30 minutes. Instead, I just listened to a short English video and repeated 3 sentences. Then I read a funny story. And that was enough. This helped me stay consistent without feeling overwhelmed. The secret was to never break the chain. I didn't want to go one day without English, even if it was only 10 minutes, because even 10 minutes is progress. That week, I also started doing something fun. I picked a show on Netflix and changed the language to English, with English subtitles. At first, it was hard. Even with subtitles, I missed some words. But the show was interesting and I liked the characters. So I kept watching. And I started hearing the same phrases again and again. You've got to be kidding me. Come on, let's go. I'm not sure about that. What do you mean? I paused the video and repeated the lines, out loud. Not just the words, the emotion, the speed. Then I wrote down my favorite phrases and practiced them later during my speaking time. This made English feel real, not just like a school subject. It felt alive. I wanted to go deeper, so I decided to bring English into every part of my life. I changed the language on my phone, on my computer, even my social media. Now, every time I opened an app, I saw English. It was confusing for 1 or 2 days, but then I started learning tech words naturally. Settings, notifications, search, update. These words became part of my daily life without effort. And I began to notice something amazing. I was no longer studying English. I was living in English. And that changed everything. But something was still missing. I had listened, I had read, I had spoken to myself, but I hadn't spoken with a real person yet. And that scared me. What if they didn't understand me? What if I made a mistake? What if I forgot everything? These thoughts made my hands shake, but I remembered my goal. In 90 days, speak English with confidence. So, I took a deep breath and downloaded a language exchange app. I created a profile and wrote, "Hi, I'm learning English. Let's talk." Within an hour, I got 5 messages. One of them was from Tom, a guy from the UK. We agreed to do a 15-minute video call. He would help me with English, and I would help him with my language. I was nervous. My heart was beating fast. My hands were cold. But I smiled, turned on the camera, and said, "Hello, Tom. Nice to meet you." And just like that, I did it. I had my first English conversation. Was it perfect? No. Did I make mistakes? Yes. But Tom was kind. He waited for me to finish. He helped me with the right words. And after 15 minutes, I felt incredible because I had just proven to myself, I can speak English. That moment gave me courage. So I started talking to someone new every 2 to 3 days. Sometimes it was just a voice message. Sometimes it was a video call.
Sometimes we played small question games like, what's your favorite food? Where do you want to travel? What do you do on weekends? And every time I spoke, I felt a little more free, a little more natural, a little more fluent. I still made mistakes, but I didn't care anymore because every mistake was a step forward. At this point, I was already starting to think in English. It surprised me. One morning, I was walking to the store, and I saw it was cloudy. And in my head, the thought came, it looks like it's going to rain. I didn't translate it. I didn't try. The sentence just appeared. That was the moment I knew English was becoming my second voice. In the third week, I wanted to practice something more advanced, so I began a new challenge. Describe your day in English. Every night, I sat down and told myself what I did that day, out loud. I woke up at 7, I made tea, I studied English for 30 minutes, I talked to a new friend on a language app. At first, it took me 10 minutes, but then I got faster. Then I recorded myself, I played it back and listened. Sometimes I repeated sentences to sound better. Sometimes I laughed at how I said things, but every day I improved. And it didn't feel like homework. It felt like building something. That's also when I started keeping a real English journal. Every evening, I wrote 1 page in English, not just random words. I wrote about my thoughts. Today, I felt nervous before speaking, but after the call, I felt happy. I learned a new phrase, don't give up. I like it. Writing my feelings helped me connect to English on a deeper level. And every time I didn't know a word, I looked it up. Then I used it again the next day. That made it stick. Now English was everywhere. It was in my ears when I listened. It was on my tongue when I spoke. It was in my mind when I thought. And it was in my heart when I wrote. It didn't feel like a foreign language anymore. It felt like a new part of me. By the end of my first month, I had already come a long way. I could introduce myself without thinking. I could talk about my day. I could ask and answer simple questions. But around day 35, something strange happened. I felt like I wasn't improving anymore. I was still practicing, still following my daily 90, but the progress didn't feel as exciting as before. That's when I learned about something called the plateau. It means when your improvement starts to feel slow or flat, even if you're still working hard. At first, I felt frustrated. I thought, am I doing something wrong? Why am I stuck? But instead of stopping, I changed my strategy. I made a new mini plan to keep myself motivated. Here's what I did. First, I added something called speaking sprints. Every day, I set a timer for 5 minutes. Then I talked about one topic without stopping. The rule was simple. No pausing. No thinking in my native language. Just speak. Even if I didn't know a word, I kept talking. I described the idea in a different way. For example, I didn't know the word candle, so I said, that small thing with fire, we use it when the light goes off. That's called paraphrasing, and it's a powerful skill. It helped me become more flexible and confident. Second, I practiced with question drills. I wrote down 20 common questions in English, things like, what do you do? Where are you from? Why are you learning English? What do you like doing in your free time? Then I answered each one aloud, every day, in different ways. This trained my brain to respond quickly. I stopped feeling nervous when someone asked me something because I had already practiced my answer. It felt like building muscle, but for conversation. I also focused more on connecting ideas when I spoke. Before, I only used short, simple sentences. But now I started using linking words like and, but, because, so, then, after that. Instead of saying, I went to the park, I ate lunch, I said, I went to the park and then I ate lunch because I was hungry. These small changes made my English sound smoother and more natural. Around day 45, I did something that changed everything. I recorded a full video of myself talking in English. No script, no notes, just me, talking to the camera for 3 minutes. I talked about my goals, what I had learned, and what I was still working on. When I watched the video, I almost cried. Not because it was perfect, but because I saw how far I had come. 2 months earlier, I couldn't even say one full sentence. Now I was talking freely. That gave me the motivation to keep going, even stronger than before. I also began to focus on listening without subtitles. At the beginning, I always used English subtitles. They helped me understand. But now I wanted to train my ears, so I picked short clips, just 1 or 2 minutes, and watched them without subtitles. At first, I understood maybe 60%. So I watched again and again. Each time I understood a little more. Then I checked with subtitles to fill in the missing words. It was hard work, but after a few weeks, I noticed I could follow faster conversations, even without help.
That gave me a new level of confidence. One thing I kept doing every day was writing. But now I changed the style. Instead of writing about my day, I wrote about ideas. I wrote about things like why I want to travel, what makes me happy, my favorite childhood memory, what I would do with $1 million. This helped me learn more vocabulary. It also helped me express thoughts, not just facts. It made me feel like I wasn't just learning words, I was learning how to communicate. By day 60, people around me started noticing. One day, my cousin said, "Wow, you sound different. Your English is so good now." I smiled and said, "Thanks. I've been working on it every single day." And it was true. I didn't miss a single day, not even one. That consistency became my secret weapon. Because you don't become fluent in one day. You become fluent by showing up every day. Even when you're tired. Even when you're scared. Even when you don't feel like it. I also found a small online community of English learners. Every Sunday, we had a 30-minute group call. Each week, we had a topic, like food, movies, or dream jobs. And everyone had a chance to speak. The first time, I felt nervous. My hands were shaking again, just like my first call with Tom. But now, something was different. This time, I knew I could do it. I spoke slowly, clearly. I used all the phrases I had practiced. And when people smiled and said, "Good job, Emily," I felt proud. That group became my support system. They encouraged me when I felt low. They celebrated my wins. And we learned together. By now, I wasn't just learning English anymore. I was living in English. When I thought, it was in English. When I dreamed, it was sometimes in English. And when I doubted myself, the voice in my head said, "You're doing great. Keep going." That voice was in English too. I was getting close to day 70, just 20 days left. So I set a new challenge for the final stretch. Teach what you know. Every day, I picked one thing I had learned, a phrase, a grammar rule, or a vocabulary group. Then I explained it out loud, like I was teaching someone else. Sometimes I did this in front of the mirror. Other times I recorded short videos just for myself. Teaching helped me remember more. It made me organize my thoughts. And it made me feel confident. Because when you can teach something, it means you really understand it. That's when I realized something powerful. I was no longer trying to become fluent. I was already fluent in my own way. No, I didn't know every word. I still made mistakes sometimes. But I could express myself. I could understand others. I could think, speak, read, and write without fear. And that's what fluency means. As the final 20 days approached, something shifted inside me. I stopped focusing on what I didn't know and started paying attention to how much I already knew. I could now hold full conversations. I could understand fast English in YouTube videos. I could write emails, tell stories, ask questions, all in English. But I wanted to finish strong. So I made a personal rule for the last stretch. Make English part of everything you do. That meant no more switching back to my native language. Not for messages, not for thinking, not even in my free time. If I watched a video, it was in English. If I texted a friend, I tried to use English. If I had a question, I searched for the answer in English. It wasn't always easy, but it was powerful. Because the more I used English for life, the more natural it became. One of the most effective things I started doing during this time was storytelling. I would pick one memory from my life and try to tell it in English. It didn't matter if it was something big or small. For example, the time I got lost on a school trip, my first pet, what I ate last weekend, my favorite birthday. I would start by writing it, then I would say it out loud. Then I would record myself telling the story, like I was talking to a friend. The more I did this, the more my fluency improved. Because I wasn't just repeating phrases anymore. I was creating full, connected ideas. I was building confidence with my words, my experiences, my voice. Around day 75, I felt something surprising. Peace. I wasn't rushing anymore. I wasn't panicking. I wasn't checking how many days were left. Instead, I felt calm because I knew I had done the work every day. No skipping, no shortcuts. I had built a habit, a routine, a system. And it wasn't just about English anymore. It was about who I had become in the process. Someone focused, someone consistent, someone who didn't quit. Then, one day, something unexpected happened. A friend asked me for help. She said, "Emily, you're so good at English now. Can you help me prepare for a job interview?" I smiled and said, "Of course." We met on a video call. I asked her questions. She answered. I gave her tips and corrections. And the whole conversation was in English. That's when it hit me. Just 2 months ago, I was the one asking for help. Now, I was helping someone else. That was the moment I knew I had truly changed. By day 80, I wanted to push myself even further, so I gave myself a mini fluency test. Here's what I did. I gave a 5-minute talk in English without stopping. I listened to a 10-minute podcast and summarized it in my own words. I wrote a 300-word story in English without using a dictionary. I watched a full episode of a TV show, no subtitles, and explained what happened. I had a 30-minute conversation with a stranger online. I didn't tell anyone I was doing this. It was just for me. And when I finished all 5 tasks, I felt proud. Not because everything was perfect, but because I understood. I expressed. I communicated clearly, confidently, naturally. That's fluency. Not perfection, not passing a test, just being able to use the language with ease. On day 90, I woke up early, I made a cup of tea, I sat by my window, and I opened the note I had written at the very beginning. In 90 days, I will speak English with confidence. I smiled because I had done it. It wasn't magic. It wasn't a miracle. It was daily practice, clear focus, and a real reason why. And now, English wasn't just something I was learning. I could use it. Something I enjoyed. Something that opened doors. If you're still with me and you're wondering, can I really do this too? Let me tell you, yes, you can. You don't need a big brain. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need to study for 8 hours a day. You need 3 things: a strong reason, a clear plan, and daily action. That's it. If you view small things every day with purpose, you'll wake up one morning and realize you're not a beginner anymore. You're speaking. You're understanding. You're living in English. And most important of all, you'll believe in yourself again. So if you're still listening, thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me. And thank you for believing that learning English is possible, even in just 90 days. Before we end, let me quickly share the habits that helped me the most. You don't need to do them all at once. Just begin, one step at a time. Here's what I did every day. Listen to English for 30 minutes, with or without subtitles, podcasts, videos, stories. Spoke English out loud for 30 minutes, to myself, with apps, in mirror practice, or with real people. Read English for 15 minutes, short articles, messages, product labels, or beginner books. Wrote 5 sentences about my day, my thoughts, or answering simple questions. Reviewed 5 to 10 new words, using flashcards, pictures, or example sentences. I also joined free language exchange calls, watched Netflix shows in English, recorded myself speaking, thought in English every chance I got, and taught others what I learned. Most of all, I made English a part of my life. I didn't treat it like homework. I treated it like a friend, a habit, a daily companion. And now I can say what I think. I can understand what people say. I can write, read, laugh, and even dream in English.
That's not because I'm special. It's because I showed up every single day. So if you're just starting your English journey, or if you've been learning for a while and feel stuck, please remember this. Fluency doesn't come from being perfect. Fluency comes from being consistent. One step, one sentence, one moment at a time. You don't need to rush, but you do need to begin. And once you begin, don't stop. Because the version of you that speaks English confidently, they're already inside you. You just need to keep going until you meet them. And when that day comes, you'll look back and say, just like I did it. If you're still here with me, thank you, truly. It means a lot that you stayed all the way to the end. We work really hard to make these videos clear, helpful, and full of real experience so that your English journey feels easier and more enjoyable. If this video helped you, please consider subscribing to our channel. We upload new English learning content every single day. Real stories, listening practice, and tips that you can actually use in daily life. And remember, your progress matters, even the small steps. So keep learning, keep smiling, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, and don't forget to hit subscribe.